Hey, what's going on, guys? So I figured today we'll just take a quick look here, do a quick little unboxing and review on the Gundam Converge EX30 Penelope here, and it's a pretty cool design, pretty crazy design that I think, I'm not sure I really love, but in Converge form it definitely looks really cool. You can also build, not really build, you can put this together as the Odysseus Gundam here as well, but then I'm not sure if you have the ability to put all the extra armor parts into like the flying armor as well, if you're going to do that, or if it's just going to be a bunch of leftover parts. I think that might be the case, but we'll find out. If there's no picture of it on the outside of the box, then I assume you probably can't do it. So here on the side over here, you can see it does come with a stand, so that's cool, and you got it up there in a flying pose. So I think you'll have like alternative feet, it looks like. Usually that's the case for these Converge figures. If they have like a stand to include it in a flying pose, then they'll give you alternative feet, because there's no actual articulation in the feet to make them pointing down. They just give you ones that you can just swap out, ones that are just pointed down. So you'll have those, looks like, and yeah, so it'll take some assembly, I assume, with all these different parts to put together to make this massive thing, but it should be pretty cool. So let's just get it popped open there on the top. Really cool there. Image of the figure. Of course, the eyes don't glow on these, unfortunately, so really wish that they would. That would definitely be something very cool about these, especially the EX series, with them being like the kind of more expensive sort of premium versions. And usually like larger mobile suits as well, mobile suits and mobile armors in the EX line. So it's kind of a shame that they don't make some sort of like LED gimmick or something like that. It would be pretty cool. So we've got the Bandai chewing gum in there, and then just our base. And this just looks like a simple base this time. Sometimes the bases do have like a little bit more kind of something special going on with them, but this one just looks pretty simple. Not really any special shape or anything. It's cool how like the Gundam itself was in this like extra little box, but I guess that was to kind of try to protect these big shoulder bits on there. I guess this also has to be one of the first time that I've seen a Converge kit come with little pieces on an actual runner. That's pretty strange. Obviously other different candy toys do come like that sometimes, but for Converge, that's pretty unusual, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, so what these little pieces are actually are little caps to fill in. So when you take off the extra Penelope parts, if you're just going to make the Odysseus Gundam, you have these big open gaps here on the front, or the sides and back of the leg, and also here on the top of the chest. So what these little pieces will do is just give you little caps to fill those in. So that's kind of cool, I guess, if you're a fan of the Odysseus Gundam, although again, kind of the case with things like this is you gotta kind of wonder, for anyone who's going to be buying this, how many people are going to actually display this as the Odysseus Gundam. I don't know, maybe some people are going to buy two of this set and have like display one of each, I suppose, possibly. But then here's how the Odysseus Gundam is just going to look on its own. It's pretty cool. You have a separate piece for the backpack, a new piece for that, a new piece for the front skirt as well. And then basically you just take off the shoulder parts and you just swap out the feet for these different feet and just take off all the other parts around the leg. And so yeah, this is what you're left with. It looks pretty cool just as it is, but I think it's definitely going to look a lot better once we get everything else added back onto this. But you can still see there's a lot of panel line opportunities on this where we can go ahead and fill in all the panel lines, paint in extra little details and things like that. It's going to make it look much nicer, so I'm looking forward to getting to that step. But for the time being, let's just go ahead and get it all loaded up with all the Penelope armor then, eh? And a couple of things I'll real quick point out here about the Penelope armor is that you'll notice some seam lines there on the top of the shoulders, and then also on the top of the whole backpack bird over the head thing here. You got like a kind of seam line going on there as well. It's kind of hard to show you because it's all in white, but you can see how that comes out to the front there also. But also the tail on the back there does move up and down, so at least is one little point of articulation that it does have. And then on the base, well, it's not really any specific like special shape really. It does have the number and the Penelope name there on the top of that, so that's pretty cool, except that it also has this printed on the back side, which just kind of ruins the effect. What I would recommend you guys do, and what I'll probably end up doing on mine, is that these letters are all recessed, so we can do is just paint this and then just fill those in with some paints too. With just some enamel paint or whatever, just fill in the letters just so that those are more apparent, because otherwise, just as it is on the clear base like this, and it's cool that it's there, but it's just kind of ruined by that little bit. So there it is, guys, just out of the box. It is going to be looking pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of white space there with some details that'll look nice once they're filled in, but I mean, the Penelope is like just a very white mobile suit. It has just a lot of white on it anyway, so I don't feel it's like looking strange. There's so much white. And again, you do have the optional feat to have this just standing flat on the ground if you want, but I just went for the flying pose because I'm going to be displaying this up on the base like this anyway. So basically what we're going to do now is we need to go over and give this first a coat of just some gloss coat, just to kind of give it just, it's going to act as basically a little bit of just protecting the, and then also just giving us a nice glossy surface to then go ahead and do our panel lining on. So we can panel line this up, do a little detail painting, and then add a couple decals. And so let's just go get to work. I need to disassemble this, and then we can spray some clear coat on it, some gloss coat, and get to work on detailing. One thing I want to go over here in this video too with you guys is about warped parts. And I've talked about this a lot anytime I review Converge kits or anything like that. There's a lot of times where they'll have like a long part that's kind of warped, bent a little bit just from the packaging. And I've talked about that you can easily just straighten those out with some heat. Most commonly just a hairdryer works well enough. You really don't need a heat gun, that's kind of overkill I think. Or you could just boil them. I've never tried that, but just using a hairdryer works very well. So just to straighten this out, I'm just going to show you guys. It's really easy. So there you go. As you can see, it only takes a minute, and you just kind of want to hold it in a way to let gravity do the bending for you, so you don't have to actually touch it while it's going. So I was just holding it. It needs to bend down this way, so I was holding it this way. So as it's heating up, it'll start to naturally bend down like that, just towards gravity. So just use that, and then just a couple minutes under the heat of the hairdryer, and it's straightened out well enough. All right, let's go get to spraying the clear coat. Actually, wait, one more thing that I almost forgot about too is that one thing that I'll do here for like some of these edges, you'll have like a little bit of like a rough edge of just from like the mold line and then plus the painting on these. So I'll usually just go over these with a knife here, just really gently along the edge, just to kind of make the edges of the corners a little bit nicer. It's going to be really kind of hard to see, but hopefully you guys can see it. It's like a little bit rough along that edge. Just sliding the knife across there. Will just clear off just a little bit there so that you get a nicer edge and doesn't have that kind of roughness to it. And I'm not really going to worry too much about mold lines everywhere on the kit because it's just going to have some, and a lot of them are going to be hidden, but there was one like right down the front of the leg that was just right on the front of the kit and very obvious, so I wanted to do something about that. So just trying to get rid of the mold line a little bit here on the front of the leg, and in the process of that, of course, I ended up scratching off some of the white paint. Now the plastic itself underneath that is white too as well, so it's not really all that noticeable, but I do just want to touch it up a little bit just before I spray the top coat or the gloss coat over it. So I'm just going to use a little bit of enamel flat white here just to kind of touch up a little bit here on the bits where I just kind of scraped some of that paint off. And the very last one more thing that I want to do is also just drill out the little gum barrels here on the shields, and then also on the rifle. As it is, the rifle is just flat end there, so just drilling that out a little bit will look a little bit nicer, I think. So let's just go ahead and just do that real quick here too. Okay guys, so that's all cured, and up next then, for a tricolor Gundam design, you need tricolor panel lining as well. So for all the white parts, we're going to panel line that in gray here. I sometimes find this to be a little bit too light gray, but we'll see how it goes. I think it should be okay for this. For all the red and yellow parts, we're going to use brown. And then for all the blue and gray parts, like for like some inner frame gray parts, which I actually don't think there's really all that many actually, so this is probably just going to be used just for the glue. For the blue, we'll use black there, so just a little bit of that, a little bit of panel lining, and yeah, then we got to clean that up, and we'll move on to some detail painting. Alright guys, here it is all done and with some matte top coat on there, and I'm so happy with this, how it came out. I mean, obviously, I think there's no question that it definitely looks a lot better than how it looked just straight out of the box. I mean, you can question how well a job I did on it, or, you know, if I should have done more or less or whatever, but either way, I mean, I think it's hard to deny that it looks any worse than it is straight out of the box. Like some of the pre-painting on there is not perfect. There's like some of the little bits of pre-painting is like not quite right, or there's overbleed or not enough in certain areas, and I didn't really worry about fixing all that. I didn't worry about fixing every single imperfection about this, as I was just saying before, just getting rid of like some of the mold lines, things like that. I did a little bit of that, but didn't really concern myself too much with trying to fix everything about this kit, and there's certainly a lot more that I could have done, but I wanted to, I think, just do a little bit of detailing, you know, just spend like a day, basically, a day and a half, 2 days, sort of off and on, just working on this and among other things, but and you can see a huge difference with the base too as well. I painted up the main base part. I left the actual arm of the base in clear, and then painted the main base plate here in just white color, and then just filled in some panel lining, some gray panel lining in there for the title on the bottom of the base there as well. Gave that some matte coat as well, and then yeah, all the little decals were just those tiny little red decals, and there's a ton of them on there, and I really love how this ends up looking like really Verka kind of style, really Katoki style with all the little red decals on there. I think it looks great. I actually only used those. I pulled out some other decals, some white ones to use on like the blue and the red parts, but I ended up not using those because I just thought there's hardly any areas where I maybe would have put decals on the non-white parts of the kit, on the blues, the reds, the yellow areas. Maybe I would have put, I don't know, one on like this crotch part there, but I thought, you know what, I'm just not going to do that. I'm just only going to do red decals on the white armor, and just stuck with that, and I think it came out looking pretty awesome. So really super happy with this. Unfortunately guys, my rotating display base recently broke, so I can't put it on that, so I'm just going to have to kind of rotate it around here by hand, but I'll try to give you guys a look all around the kit here. I keep saying kit, figure, I mean, sorry, it's just a habit, of course, but just filling in some of the details up inside there, just with some metallic paint, and so you can see how just a little bit of painting, a little bit of panel lining, well, a lot of panel lining in this case. This kit had a lot of panel lining to do, and then some decals. The decals also took a little while because they're so tiny, and I put, you know, quite a lot of them, a fair amount of them considering the size of this. But so it took a little bit of time, but it really makes a big difference, I think. Let me just give you a view here from a different angle. As for the EFF logo there on the shoulder, and then the Anaheim Electronics logo on the other shoulder, those just came from some like actual official Bandai waterslide markings. I think the EFF was for like the Gundam local type, and the other Anaheim Electronics was from, I think it was like just a unicorn general purpose markings. So I'm not sure if that's like the correct Anaheim Electronics logo or whatever for the Penelope, but I don't think that there's a lot of like really official markings for the Penelope really, so I think I'm probably safe on that. And so yeah, I mean, it's really awesome. I like this a lot, and this is why I love Converge figures, because they're great, they're super cool in their design and proportions and everything, but if you just take a little bit of time to detail them up a little bit, they look even better. And so this is very cool, and especially if you didn't want to spend so much more time and so much more money and on like the actual HG kit, and then it takes up a lot more space on your shelf too. If you wanted something cheaper, faster, and much smaller, then this is a very good option compared to the HG version. So definitely highly recommended, guys, if you're a fan of the Penelope, or if you're just a fan of Converge stuff in general. Just check out, you know, find one of them that you like if you're not that big into the Penelope in particular. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoy doing this, so you know, hopefully in the future I'll take some more time, you know. Oh, not hopefully, I'm sure I will. I just don't know exactly how soon, but it certainly will happen in the future. I'll do some more of this type of videos and this type of work, just detailing out little Converge figures, because I've got plenty of them, and they're a lot of fun to do. So look forward to more in the future. I know in the past I talked about doing the Neo Zeong, so I suppose we should probably do that one as well, because I did talk about doing that, I think, in the video for that figure as well, so maybe that'll be the next one up, but we'll see. There's always more on the way, so I can just take my pick of kind of whichever one I feel like doing, I suppose. But that's it for the Penelope, guys, and leave any other further questions, comments you might have there down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, thank you to USA Gundam Store for their support, guys. Do check out the available Converge stuff we have there on the site, and you can use my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save 10% off everything there, so check that out. Have a great one, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.